I'm going to walk you through the process of doing advanced editing on a template you customize in GraphicsFlow using Adobe Illustrator. So I'm logged into my GraphicsFlow account. I'm going to do a quick search for a specific graphic. So I'm going to go over here to filter results. I've got design ideas selected over here. And I'm going to type in bow. And I'm just going to select a graphic that has a bow in it. And the graphic is right here. To initiate editing, I can either go to the little three dots and click on Customize, or I can actually click on the graphic, get a full screen preview, and click on Customize. Now, in this particular template, there's two types of text going on here. There's what's called envelope text, which is where the wildcats are. That's a container that constrains the width of that text. So if we typed in a longer word, it would start to compress. And then we also have text on a path here, which is this area right here. There's actually a path that has the fill and the outline turned off, and the text is sitting on this path. And so if I go over here where it says north and I type in central, that text is actually going to still sit on the path. I just hit enter there. So you see where it says central high now. Now wildcats, this is actually two layers. So if I go over here and change this to bulldogs, I need to change both layers. So I'm going to hit enter right here. And then I'm going to change the second layer right here. This text is enveloped. So what's going to happen when we save this file as a PDF file to edit this in Adobe Illustrator, any of the text that's enveloped is going to get converted into outlines. It's not going to be editable text anymore. It's going to be outlines. The other thing that's going to happen is the stroke, which is the outline that's attached to this, is going to be a separate object than the fills. So we can actually edit those independently, and I'm going to show you how to do that editing. So I've got some basic edits here. I'm not going to change the colors, just did a couple basic edits. And before we bring this file into Illustrator, what we need to do is save the design. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click on Save. I'm going to locate a folder. I've got a folder here called Customizer, and we're just going to save it in there, and we can title it whatever we want. And click on Save. And now at this point, we can download an output format. So the three output formats that we can download are a PNG file, which is going to have a transparent background. This is not a vector file. This would be a file that would be suitable for doing a web store or social media post. There won't be a background color there. It'll just be solid color on a transparent background. I can also do a CDR file. The CDR file is going to be used for a CorelDRAW user. This is the file format. If you're using Corel, download a CDR. The PDF file is the file format you're going to use for other vector graphics programs, including Adobe Illustrator. And the PDF file is very closely related to an Illustrator file. You have the same level of editing capability in a PDF as you do in an Illustrator file. The main difference is the text is going to be converted to curves or outlines, so you won't be able to change the text. So you want to do all your text editing right here in the customizer. So I would save the PDF file just by clicking on PDF right here. I'd save it to a location on my hard drive right here. I'm just going to save it. And at this point, if I wanted to view the PDF file, I could just click on it. It'll open up in whatever my native PDF viewing app is. I'm now going to open up the PDF file in Adobe Illustrator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to File. I'm going to go to Open. I'm going to select the location where I saved that PDF file right here. I'm going to highlight the file. I'm going to click on Open. So the vector file is going to open up in Adobe Illustrator. I can change the view. So I'm going to go over here to View or hit Control-0 right here to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to scroll up here so we can see the entire graphic. So anywhere where the text was enveloped, like the word bulldogs right here, cheer, this is an envelope, this is an envelope, that text is no longer live. If we have text on a path or a straight line of text without an envelope, you'll notice that this text is live. It's not going to be grouped together as a line on a path, but you do have live text. And if you choose to, and if you wanted to delete text or reset it with new text, you could certainly do that. Every element within the design is fully editable, and I'm going to go over here to View and Outline View so you can see all the vectors in the file right here. So these are the underlying vectors in this particular art. I'm going to go back to Preview View over here, and the design is going to come in ungrouped. So if you want to delete an object, you can certainly go and just select it with the selection tool, delete it. Or if you want to do multiple select, you click on one object, hold your Shift key down, You can select both objects and move those around if you choose to. So you have full editing level control over all of the elements that are within the design. Now, if you want to change colors, there's a couple ways to do that. One way would just be simply to select on an object and then open up a color swatch. In this case, I have the Pantone color swatch, and I could just click on it to change the color. So that's one way of doing it. And I can change both the fill color and the outline color. Another way of doing it is using the merge function. And so what I'm going to do is I've got my swatches open here. And if you go down here to Window, you can see all the little panels I have open. So I have the Appearance panel, Color panel, Swatches panel. I've gone down here to Swatch Libraries, and I've selected the library for Pantone under Color Books. So that's showing up over here. You can choose whatever swatch library you choose to. And what I'm going to do is a global color swap. So the easiest way to do that is to go over your swatch, select the color you'd like to change to. That color is going to show up over here under swatches. Left click on that color, hold your control key down, click on the new color, and then simply click on merge. And this is going to merge both the stroke as well as the fill color within the design. So this is a really good way to globally recolor a design. Now, if you want to have a little bit more precise editing, you can actually go in and change the stroke independently from the fill. In the case of Bulldogs, we're going to change that independently. And so it's a little bit trickier because it's actually a little bit tough to select the stroke or the fill independently. And you'll notice if I grab my selection tool and I start clicking on this design, you notice there's all these layers in here. And in order to select these, I actually have to click on that vector line, and it's a little bit challenging to actually see that, especially with the colors being kind of dark here on the monitor. So there's a couple different ways of doing that, and probably the easiest way to do it is just to use the layers. And so I'm going to go over here and select on layers. I'm going to click on the right little caret icon here to expand all the layers here. And what you're going to see is the different text layers. Now I can mute layers to make it a little bit easier to select, so I can make them non-visible. You have the little eyeball icon here, and I can just go over here and start turning these off so I can isolate just that specific layer. You'll notice right here in the toolbar that the stroke color is not selected. You're only going to be able to see the stroke color when you actually click on the line with the vectors. Now you can see that stroke is selected. Also under the color panel, you can clearly see that the stroke is selected over here. So if I select that and I wanted to maybe change a shade here, I could do it there. Also, if I have my appearance panel selected over here, I could go and change the stroke width here. So I made it thinner. So we have complete control over the strokes by using both the appearance panel and the color panel. You can also edit the stroke independently without hiding objects, and you can just use layers to do that as well. So you notice we have layers. We have this particular layer. You see the little preview, so we know this has the kind of the teal colored outline. We just want to click on the little circle here to select that. And so we've selected that. We want to make sure that we have the stroke selected. So right here, this is the fill right here. So if we were going to change the fill color, we could do that. But we want to change the stroke. So what we're going to do here on this stroke is we're going to go over here and click the little hollowed out square. So we're clicking on that. And now we're going to click on the new color. We'll just make this a nice bright pink right there. And then again, if we want to change the stroke width, we can do that from here as well. So the trick to doing that particular technique is just make sure that you're selecting the right object and clicking on the little circle here to make sure it's selected. So once you have the file edited, you've done all the changes that you've chosen to, what you want to do is save it back as an Adobe Illustrator file. So we're not going to save the PDF file. What we're going to do is we're going to go to File, and we're going to go to Save As, and I'm going to save this onto my computer as an Illustrator file. So you'll notice over to the drop-down list, I'm going to save this as a native AI file. If I just hit save, I'm just saving over the original PDF. So I want to actually save this as an AI file. So I've selected the file name. I've selected Adobe Illustrator AI. I'm going to hit save. And now this file has been converted from a PDF file into a native Adobe Illustrator file. So that's the basic process of customizing a design in the customizer, bringing it into Adobe Illustrator for advanced editing.